But I stay focused on my health year-round, and for me, I take Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. I eat right, control my portion sizes, still maintain a commitment to regular fitness, and I get plenty of rest, and I take Nature's Youth RSF. It's okay to cover up your beach body for a few months, but don't just forget about it. Nature's Youth understands exactly what it means to provide top-quality health products, and Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain peak performance levels and fight the aging process. So layer up and get started today with Nature's Youth RSF. nature'syouth.com. Simple to use, even simpler to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
E-Digits. Lock them in for more information, recreation, and guaranteed fun. Kcaa.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Wake-Up Show. Each week, we explore and take a deep dive into awakening the financial abundance we all have inside of us. We educate and create awareness by focusing on fundamental principles of money, talking to business and community leaders about successful habits, while learning from each other how to build, protect, and create legacies. And now, here's your host, Daniel Choi.
And good morning. It's a new day, and with each day comes a new beginning, a new chance to do something great, learn something new, and enjoy everything this great life has to offer. And if you've already not done so, go to iTunes or Google Play, subscribe to the podcast. You can download all our shows there. Also, we're on YouTube, so subscribe there. You can find all of this under the Financial Wake-Up Show with Daniel Choi. Follow the show, like us, and I promise I'll bring refreshing content to you every week. Again, broadcasting live from my office studio here in Brea, California on Kcaa 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Here to promote our community of people who want the best for themselves, their businesses, their families. Create a forum for you to voice questions and concerns. Check out our website, financialwakeupshow.com, or visit us on Facebook and Twitter. That's at TFWUS. And on every show, we talk about three things: growing and protecting your wealth. Number two is estate planning, exit planning, which is transferring or selling your business if you're a business owner, or retirement if you're an employee. And lastly, estate planning, which is creating a legacy while fully enjoying your money while you're alive. And today, we're going to talk about one of the things I am most passionate about. I have in my life read upwards of 100 different books on business and life success and spirituality and philosophy and all that sort of stuff. I love reading because it's a great way to awaken the wealth inside of all of us. And it's really about striving for greatness, achieving success. I've got a great guest on to talk about this later on. But life coaching, success coaching, and how to help people fulfill their lives. You know, this coaching thing is not just in sports anymore. There are life coaches and fitness coaches, and I consider myself a financial coach. You might remember when there were hardly any life coaches back even 15, 20 years ago. There was one fitness coach, probably that was Richard Simmons. And today, unofficially, there are over 16,000 life coaches that hold some type of designation in the field. And if you think about it, how many personal trainers do you know? There are a lot out there. And as I've grown in my career, I've worked with these coaches myself. I've been to probably over 50 different leadership and life coaching conferences, many of them talking about goal setting and planning. And, you know, when I help clients, what process have I found that works well? In other words, are financial goals the same as other life goals? So today's Wake Up Now segment is, what role do goals play in effective financial planning? Can you set a financial goal and work to achieve it? Does it work like losing weight or having a happier marriage? So to begin this discussion, let me give you some context. Financial planning is not taught in school. One of the most common things I hear when I sit down with people is, why haven't I heard about this? How come I was never taught this? You know, they should teach this stuff in school. I can't believe how many people don't know this stuff. You should tell people about it. That's what I hear from people, and that's why I'm on the radio, I guess. But I've seen a lot of the financial experts, quote unquote experts out there missing the boat as well. I've met MBAs and CFOs making absolutely the wrong decisions with their business's money, with their own personal money. I could tell you this stuff is not taught in grad school. I've got an economics degree from the #1 public university in the world, that is the University of California, Berkeley. And I can tell you the econ courses there, they don't teach you what you need to know about this stuff. It's not in high school. Finance majors don't learn it. Business school students don't learn it. And if you try to find this stuff on the internet, good luck with that. I can tell you the resources are growing, but it's not altogether comprehensive. So let's go back in time. The birth of this financial planning thing happened in the early 70s. And then in 1980, the 401k was introduced as a tax code, and businesses and governments started to phase out pensions. So if you remember back then, you'd work for one company for like 30 years, retire at 65, get a pension. That's changed. Now people change jobs every 4 years. So as 401ks became more prevalent during the 80s and pensions were at the same time they were dying out, individual investors starting also to get more involved in the stock and bond markets. So you've probably seen movies like The Pursuit of Happiness or Wall Street or Boiler Room, where people are phoning clients to get into the stock market. Okay. Next, in the 90s, personal computers started to come out, and with computers came spreadsheets. Now with these spreadsheets, all of a sudden, people could design financial models with their money. And while this is happening, companies started releasing more and more complex financial products. Things like advanced money management, institutional money management companies, mutual funds started getting more complex, baskets of investments started to be available, annuities, variable life insurances. People started really needing some guidance and a plan. And so if you think back to the early 1900s, people back then, believe it or not, did their own dentistry. So can you imagine your uncle like doing your root canal? Well, back in the day, people did that. And at some point, the technology and the medicine, when it came to your teeth, evolved to where you needed like a professional dentist. And in financial planning, that wasn't the early 1900s. It was around the 1990s when that started happening. So when spreadsheets came into the financial analysis world, there was another problem that was born into this world. And that problem was the assumption. See, spreadsheets, they don't work without assumptions. And if you assume something, we all know what that makes something out of, you and me. We've heard the phrase, I can't say it on the air, but assumptions became the focus of financial planning because of spreadsheets. We couldn't present solutions without assumptions, and this created a new problem. See, I used to write these financial plans. They used to be like over 100 pages for clients, and I put so much thought and so much detail into them. I write these customized paragraphs, tons of analysis, and I put this into a nice pleather binder. Okay, you know where this binder ended up? It would usually go next to the toilet with the other magazines, maybe to be read one day. No one read them, and I know this because I would ask my clients, and they would have no clue what was in them. In my career, I would say I've written, reviewed, or contributed to over 1,700 financial plans. And I'm going to guess unofficially that over 1,600 were never read. So I used to get mad at this. I used to think, why don't people read this stuff? I mean, there's so much good stuff in here. But then as I started maturing in the business, I learned something. These plans became useless almost the same day I gave them to the client. And the reason is because life happens, and life doesn't go off assumptions. In fact, life almost never goes to plan. So if you're listening right now, has everything in your life happened exactly as you thought it would 5 years ago? Has everything just worked out perfectly? No. I mean, let alone 5 years, this past week probably didn't go the way you thought it would, right? So life is abundant. Life has a lot to give, but life is unpredictable. It's not on our time schedules. It's not always what we want. It throws us curveballs. We've got to adapt, or we can't, hit those curveballs. So these financial plans and their assumptions, man, they spoil faster than like raw fish. I mean, they become useless because the assumptions could go immediately wrong. And the average financial plan, just for your information, makes over 65 assumptions. And I'm going to list some of these assumptions for you. You ready for this? Here are some of the predictions planners have to make to write a financial plan. Ready? Interest rate, inflation, your rate of return, your tax rate, the number of children you'll have, where they'll go to college, the expenses you're going to have, if you'll stay married, if you stay employed, if your children would get married, if they'll have children, you'll have grandchildren, when you're supposed to retire, how you retire, where you retire, when you're going to die, and when your spouse is going to die. That's just a few of them. And how ridiculous does this sound? And I remember I was a young pup financial advisor back in the day, and I would ask clients, so tell me, what would you like to do in retirement? What can you envision in retirement? And some would have an answer. They'd say, oh, well, you know, I play golf, I'll travel. But most people looked at me like I had a set of antlers coming out of my head, like I was some 12-point antler deer buck staring at them in the middle of the forest. And I used to think, why is that? Well, how are we supposed to know what we're doing 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now? How can we predict that? And I would think I need to know so I can make assumptions. But in reality, we just don't know. And in my career, I've unfortunately seen clients die. I've seen clients lose jobs, battled cancer, had children they didn't expect to have, come into large inheritances they didn't know about, switch jobs, you name it. I have seen it all. So if unexpected life events aren't enough, heck, I'm not even talking about the unexpected things in our economy, like the stock markets and the government and things we didn't think would happen. Everything's up in the air, and you see it on TV every day. You know, someone in a beautiful suit from Italy saying, I know what the interest rates will do, and I know what the markets are going to do, and real estate, and blah, 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 blah. It seems like everything's based on a prediction. And if these predictions worked, well, we'd probably be sitting on an island that we own, or more of us would, drinking cocktails. And the only thing I've learned that predictions predict correctly is that if you're going to make predictions, you're going to get disappointed at some point because nobody can predict it right at every time. And this type of planning that I'm describing to you is called a needs-based plan. It is based on this exercise called a needs-based analysis. This is where you assume a bunch of things, you create a quote-unquote goal, and then it's just linear math backwards using spreadsheets or some web program. And I talked about last week how linear math or average rates of return can be misleading. Not to mention, I told you how assumptions and predictions can be misleading. And so a needs-based plan is like this. Think of it this way. If you're going to take a trip to some vacation, okay, and this country had no ATMs and they didn't take any credit cards, none at all, okay? All they took was cash there, US dollars. So if you're preparing for this trip, would you only take what you thought you needed in cash? No, because what if something came up you didn't expect? You'd take as much cash as you could within your means, like safely, but you wouldn't plan a trip that way because you don't know what's going to happen on that trip. Why are you going to plan your life that way with just barely what you need? I used to tell clients all the time, this is what you need to do. And I've learned that is a load of garbage. Nobody needs to do anything. But I would hope that talking to someone like me, you would want to do your best. You would want to implement change. And there lies the solution. When it comes to planning like this, stop the assumptions, stop the predictions. Here's what I suggest, and this is what I do with clients. One simple thing, make the most of today. Do your best today. Stay in the present, give it all you got. And you might be thinking I'm talking about your life, where of course this does apply, but I'm talking about your money as well. Save everything you can, protect everything you can. If you take that vacation and you only take the cash you need, I mean, maybe you could have fun, it could work, it'll set you on the right direction, but at times you've got to put everything you can into this thing. And the good news is technology's evolved to where we don't need to make as many predictions and assumptions, by the way. Technology allows me to now stream financial data, your financial data, live. And this allows me to now say, okay, let's plan for you in the current moment. No more predictions, no more assumptions. Let's just take what you have and do our best every single day. You seize the moment, but you're also prepared for any emergencies or any successes to the maximum extent possible. You can enjoy that trip and vacation, right? Again, email daniel@financialwakeupshow.com or call 850-7-WAKE-UP if you want to learn more. So, to those of you listening, I want you to think back about 20 years ago. Did the 20-year younger version of you make some questionable decisions? Decisions you probably maybe wished you didn't take? Of course. I made some decisions at 20 years ago that I can't even believe I made. But looking into the future, are there decisions you're making today that the 20-year-old older version of you would think are good or bad? So I implore you, make the most of today. Don't plan off of needs and assumptions, okay? When we come back from our break, I've got a guest who's going to talk more about this. Our phone lines are open, 888-909-1050. Call me with any questions you have. I'll take them right over the air, as I always do. If I've raised any eyebrows out there, reach out, get some information. But for right now, let's take a quick break. You're on the Financial Wake Up Show with Daniel Choi, Kcaa 1050 AM, 106.5 FM.
Looking for a new watch or diamond earrings? Maybe you'd like to sell these items or get a short-term loan against them. Introducing Ideal Luxury, the ideal way to buy, sell, trade, or get a loan on fine watches, diamonds, and jewelry. We do this discreetly by appointment only from a private office. Don't overpay or give it away. Call Ideal Luxury today at 888-505-5505. That's 888-505-5505 or online at idealluxury.com. Remember, don't overpay or give it away.
License number 302200989.
By the way, quick follow-up on Ideal Luxury. With the holidays fast approaching, jewelry and watches are always on top of people's gift lists. They've got all the elite brand names that you'd want over at Ideal Luxury, including Tiffany, Cartier, Rolex, Breitling, amongst many others. I know of some extremely rare pieces and diamonds that they've got over there. I've gotten to know Mark at Ideal Luxury, and he's a great guy who has the expertise and trustworthiness you need in working with jewelry and watches. So call him at 888-505-5505 or go online at idealluxury.com. Make sure you use promo code WAKEUP. You're going to get an additional 10% off all the way through the end of January. They'll work with anyone across the U.S. So again, call them at 888-505-5505.
Okay, and welcome back to the show. Now, while I just said a while ago about living off assumptions and predictions, I don't mean don't set goals. You do need to set goals. In fact, set financial goals. Big, hairy, audacious financial goals, and do your best to achieve them. The idea of having a goal doesn't mean that you don't go back and figure out what you need to do to get today. What I'm saying is, don't hinge everything on a minimalist need. Do your best every day. And my guest today helps Fortune 100 companies and CEOs achieve goals like this. He is Carl Hicks Jr., PhD, President and CEO of the Growth Group. He is the principal management consultant there. His results-oriented approach combines his management education and his approachable conversational style, as you'll see in just a second. He's got over 30 years of executive coaching and management consulting experience. He received his PhD in business administration and an MBA from the University of Arkansas, BS in management with distinction from Mississippi State University. He's got 2 books, High Impact Ideas for Your Life and Unlock the Growth Potential of Your Organization. They are both available at Amazon.com. Carl, good morning, and welcome to the Financial Wake Up Show on Kcaa 1050 AM. How are you?
Good morning, Daniel. I'm fine, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.
Absolutely, and just like we do talk on the phone all the time, we are having a conversation now, and I'm excited to talk to you. Now, one curiosity that I think a lot of people are, I talked about how there's so many different coaches and consultants out there today. How did you get started, with over 30 years experience, obviously ahead of the game? How did you get started in the field of management consulting?
That's an interesting question, and I actually got started before I think the field was defined in terms of business coaching. Certainly before a lot of the accreditation associations were started. But I was working in an organization in a middle management position, doing what I thought was quite well. And one day my grandmother said, "Are you happy?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And I kept thinking about that question a little bit more, and I said, I am not unhappy at all. But I had been dabbling on the side in working with companies, helping train managers, and just being a sounding board for a few years. And I realized that I was getting more fulfillment from that activity, which today we could call coaching and consulting, than I was from my day job, so to speak. And so I decided that I wanted to have more fulfillment in my life. So I asked another question, and that is, if I knew I was going to die in 6 months, but I had to work every day until I died, what would I choose to do? And that answer to that question was very clear. And I decided I wanted to live a life of significance and fulfillment, and I wanted to finance that lifestyle by something called coaching and consulting. And so that's how I got started. And that was, like you said, over 30 years ago. So I'm not sure how scientific that was, but that's how I did it.
It's a good story, Carl. Definitely, for sure. Now, I talked a lot today about goals and how they can be important in achieving financial success in business. You work with CEOs, which is the top of the ladder there. What's your take on goals and what their purpose is for achievement with the people you work with?
I have 2 or 3 perspectives on that. First, any type of goal in general can provide focus and direction for not only just the individual, but also for the organization members themselves. So I think that's important to have a goal. It's like you're saying that you want to take a vacation, but you don't get more specific about where do you want to go on vacation, how long do you want to be there, what is your route of travel, what's your budget, and so forth like that. So I think having the goal is really lends some specificity to it. Now, I do it a little bit different. As I have found that people who have achieved financial success sometimes get out of balance with their life, and they have not really fulfilled some of their lifestyle goals. So I start off with, and everyone I work with as a coach, I want to know what are your lifestyle goals? What is it that's important to you in terms of like faith or family or friends or fame or fortune or fitness or fulfillment? And I try to get individuals to express what those goals are. And then we immediately go into what we call the livelihood goals. And that has to do with, what do we want to achieve, become, or do over the next, say, 3 to 5 years? And we often find that's where you get the quantifiable goals, the goals in terms of wealth accumulation and protection and enjoyment, et cetera. And I try to make it the point that, our livelihood goals, while enjoyable and rewarding, in a final analysis, really finance our lifestyle goals. And so I spent a lot of time talking about, how do you want to live your life? And I find people who want more balance in their life, they want more quality thinking time. It just varies all across the board. And so my approach is just to be flexible and adjust to their style and help them think through where they are now, where they want to go, and what do they need to do to get there.
Yeah.
And that's in the general sense. If it's in terms of the financial planning, if you will, an expert like yourself would be involved in that, not me.
Now, I know a bunch of our listeners are in leadership positions, management, owning businesses, sales positions where they're tied to goals or targets. Pretty much every company, I think, has adopted some sort of target system where they want a unit or a group of people to achieve in a time frame. You help people get there quicker. And so, what are some key elements to growing quickly and taking big steps forward that you've seen?
Well, if we're looking at, say, first focusing on say, a leader of either a unit or a division or an entire company or an enterprise, the more successful ones, in my experience, have been individuals who can create a vision of the future that includes the faces and places, if you will, of the individuals in the organization. So one can get excited about the future and what the benefits are to each individual in the organization. My theory is that leaders earn the right to lead from their followers. And followers, we will tend to follow someone perhaps because they're smart, because they're successful, because they have charisma. But deep down inside, I think we'll tend to follow someone because we think they can help us get what we want quicker, better, faster. So the successful leader, I think, creates that vision where people can see that. They also articulate the purpose of the business and how it's going to be more than just whatever the business produces or services, but how it's going to perhaps help humanity. And this is particularly, I think, important for millennials today. They demonstrate the values, the leader demonstrates the values that they profess, that they hold. They're curious. They ask a lot of questions. They're constant learners. I heard you refer to the fact you read a lot. Someone like Mark Cuban says he reads like 4 hours a day. He's constantly learning. And there seems to be a culture of energy, excitement, just quite a bit of like can-do attitudes surrounding. And through the growth of the organization, which is really the growth of each individual in the organization, there's a sharpening or narrowing of focus. And so wherever we're going as a group is generally satisfactory to not only the leadership but the people in the organization as well. And if that's missing, then we see that the organization doesn't grow as steadily. The individual strengths are not utilized as frequently, and their motivational drivers are not met as often as the more successful leader who has that vision and does those things I just mentioned.
Carl, you spark a question in me. I think creating that vision it's not as easy as people think. And I think one of the reasons it's not as easy as people think is that a lot of times the people around that person might think they're crazy. Wow, you're really going to do that, or you really think that's going to happen? And you've talked in the past about finding your tennis ball. So can you tell the listeners how that concept works and why that might make it easier for somebody to grow quickly or achieve success quickly?
Okay, so I'm not the originator of the tennis ball concept. Drew Houston, one of the co-founders of Dropbox, actually used that concept in one of his talks at MIT a couple of years ago. But basically, it's looking at your purpose, your why. And so the story goes, envision that you're throwing a tennis ball and there's a dog there, say a retriever. And watch what the dog does focusing on that tennis ball. So no matter which way the ball bounces, no matter what the obstacles are between the dog and the tennis ball, that dog just keeps going. It'll go through something, over it, around it, will pivot if the ball bounces, and the dog grabs that tennis ball and usually, think if it's a retriever, will bring it back and be right there at your feet with it. And Drew talks about, how that tennis ball provided such focus, such like a goal does. And it also fueled the passion if to go get the tennis ball. And you could also even add perseverance to it, because the dog keeps going till he gets the tennis ball. So if we translate that into the human side, is what is your tennis ball? What is it that's out there that's so attractive that it energizes you and propels you to chase after it? And that the passion in doing that is all you're thinking about at that moment, is that getting the tennis ball and the perseverance. And all of those things, purpose, passion, and perseverance, or in my opinion, success mindsets. So that's the story as I tell it in terms of the tennis ball. And we all have one. We just got to figure out what it is. And what do you love to do? What do you do really well? Those are two very important questions.
Sure. You said something really quickly that I think should be highlighted: purpose, passion, and perseverance.
Yeah.
Those three words pretty much encapsulate a lot of powerful messaging there. Now, you specialize in growth scenarios. For those out there seeking it, who want to go to the next promotion level, who want to take their business to the next revenue level, in a limited amount of time, what would be some of the things you would recommend they start with to get that engine going?
I think in general, I would recommend that they do what I call a personal purpose statement. And in fact, on my website, which is www.thehicksfix.com, under resources, there are some coaching worksheets, and one of them is the worksheet that helps someone develop a personal purpose statement. So this is like, why do you do what you do? So, for example, in your business, and use yours if you don't mind, you could say that you're a financial planner, which is true. You could say that you help people with their money, which is true. You could talk about the products you have. But there are other ways you could look at it. And for example, one is you're in the business of helping people fulfill their promises to their loved ones. So if I were one of your clients, and, I talk to you about my needs and what I would like to have for the family or my retirement and so forth, you're helping me not only fulfill my promises to my loved ones, but you're also helping with lifestyle continuation planning. And so we haven't even talked about the financial piece, but those products and services may be the way to supply it. So what is a person's personal purpose statement? I think that's where we need to start. We need to start, like, if you're a teacher and you say, I'm a teacher, that's great. But if you say, I help students broaden their horizon, or I love to help people learn, I think that brings on a different type of perspective. My personal purpose statement is really short. I help bring out the best in other people. That's what I do. And that's what helps me to get motivated. Now, after that, you have to have a framework, and I'll call it STAR, S-T-A-R. You have to have a strategy. That's what the S stands for. The T stands for what tasks are going to be needed to get you where you need to go. The A are the action steps that you want to take, and then the R is the results. So once I know if I'm going to bring out the best in other people, for example, or if I'm going to be selling software, or if I'm going to be in customer service in an organization, I'm going to define myself as someone like, if I'm in customer service, I am an ambassador for the company. I'm the tip of the spear. The impression that the customer is going to get on the phone when I'm working with them is going to be in my hands. If I'm a recruiter for a company, I see myself as helping senior management grow the firm by attracting talent, from a talent acquisition person, if you will. And so you focus on that. And then, the strategy, how are you going to do that? And what are the tasks involved? And what are the action steps? and what are the results that you expect. And I found that helps almost in every position, whether it's just an individual employee who wants to get a promotion or wants to be more fulfilled, or whether it's a manager or a CEO or an owner of a company. That's sort of a little quick way of focusing on things. I'm sure there are other approaches, but that's just what I will advocate. Did that help?
Carl, yes, in a 3-minute segment there's so much that I could highlight. But number one, I completely agree. You do bring out the best in people. I can tell you people that from my personal experience. But number two, I think if you get a chance, rewind this podcast, everyone. Write down some of the things Carl's saying. His website is thehicksfix.com. His books are on Amazon, as I mentioned before. What's the best way our listeners can get a hold of you and continue the discussion if they want?
There are a couple of ways. The one is just send me an email, which is to Carl Hicks, CarlHicks, one word, at thehicksfix.com, and I'd be happy to respond. Or they could call me. My direct line is 240-351-4897. I'm on Eastern time zone, so we'll just recognize the difference in time zone. But I'm always happy to field a question or to direct someone into something, to a video to watch or a book to read or a blog to look at or someone else's website that maybe is more specific for what their needs are. I do what I do because I think that's my calling. I don't see myself in a job or a career anymore. This is my calling. And so it's fulfilling in itself. So I'm always happy to field a phone call or respond to an email from someone who's interested in becoming all they're capable of becoming.
Yes. If you're listening, you own a business, you run a unit, you've got goals, reach out to Carl. I can tell you it'll be well worth it. We're going to take a quick break. Before I do that, Carl, thank you so much for spending your Saturday with us. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you. My pleasure. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. When we get back, we're going to do our Give More to Get More segment. You're listening to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
Looking for a new watch or diamond earrings? Maybe you'd like to sell these items or get a short-term loan against them. Introducing Ideal Luxury, the ideal way to buy, sell, trade, or get a loan on fine watches, diamonds, and jewelry. We do this discreetly by appointment only from our private office. Don't overpay or give it away. Call Ideal Luxury today at 888-505-5505. That's 888-505-5505 or online at idealluxury.com. Remember, don't overpay or give it away.
License number 30220-989.
By the way, quick follow-up on Ideal Luxury. With the holidays fast approaching, jewelry and watches are always on top of people's gift lists. They've got all the elite brand names that you'd want over at Ideal Luxury, including Tiffany, Cartier, Rolex, Breitling, amongst many others. I know of some extremely rare pieces and diamonds that they've got over there. I've gotten to know Mark at Ideal Luxury, and he's a great guy who has the expertise and trustworthiness you need in working with jewelry and watches. So call him at 888-505-5505 or go online at idealluxury.com. Make sure you use promo code WAKEUP. You're going to get an additional 10% off all the way through the end of January. They'll work with anyone across the U.S. So again, call them at 888-505-5505.
And as you listening know, every week I highlight a charity to end the show. Why? Because I don't think you can get more in life without giving more in life. I truly believe that. And I chat with a lot of organizations to try to get them on the show. This week, the organization that I'm spotlighting sent me a letter from one of the people that they've helped. And I'm going to read that letter because I want to use it as an intro to the Give More to Get More segment. And I just want to remind everyone listening that there is so much good being done in this world that we can get involved in. And I've seen this more over the last 7 episodes doing the show because I talk to so many of these charities. I used to do a lot of charity fundraising stuff, but I'm seeing it more and more and more. So here is the letter. And it's to a friend of this organization. It says, "Dear friend, on June 2nd, 2004, I became a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. It was an amazing day for me. Members of my squadron were all there receiving their own officer's commission and cheering each other on. Out in the audience were people who had believed in me from the time I was a teen. I could look out and see them. My uncle, 2 teachers who'd traveled from California to see me graduate, many of my friends from home, and a whole group from the Boys Hope, Girls Hope organization. I never felt so good. Today, I look forward to a long career in the Air Force. I have been accepted for pilot training and will have the chance I dreamed of as a child, to fly the jet planes that I watched when I was a kid, gazing up awestruck from the front steps of my uncle's house near El Toro. You can believe me when I say it feels like some kind of miracle that I can write this now. That's because there was a time when I felt that no matter what I did, it would just cause trouble. There were problems in my family, and one day, when I was only 14, I wound up in a teen shelter. Luckily for me, one of my middle school teachers found out where I was living. She and the shelter counselor made a few phone calls, including one to Boys Hope, Girls Hope. That call changed my life forever. In the summer of 1995, I moved into Boys Hope, a group home, after many interviews and a couple of test weekends. It was tough for me. There were many rules. I had to stick to a pretty strict schedule. Everyone expected a lot of me. There were times when I wished I could leave. Looking back, I realized that despite all the new challenges, I was grateful for the opportunities I received during those years. They were opportunities I would never have had otherwise. And I owe a big thank you to all those parents and board members who kept on insisting that I was capable, even gifted. Eventually, I buckled down and I started to get decent grades. Amazingly, I ended up being accepted into the U.S. Air Force Academy. As they say, the rest is history. I went on from the prep school to the Air Force Academy. Man, it was hard. I started out with a major in computer science. I joined the wrestling team. I played football too. Military training was demanding and exhausting. I knew that I wanted to be a pilot and that if only half my class would be selected for training after graduation, I changed my major to a subject that I could manage more easily. I focused hard so I could reach my goal, to fly those planes. I come back to visit Boys Hope, Girls Hope whenever I get a chance. The kids at the 2 homes will always be my little brothers and sisters. I love meeting the new kids who often ask my advice and want to know what it was like for me. Here's what I tell them. Don't ever, ever give up. Sure, it's hard to be away from home. Sure, the rules are hard to follow. Sometimes you might think, all this work just isn't worth it. But if you set goals for yourself, go after these goals, you can achieve anything. The folks at Boys Hope, Girls Hope are there to help me in any way. Use their help. They believe in you. Take advantage of all they offer, education, sports, summer camps, and say thank you every once in a while. Boys Hope, Girls Hope changed my life. It will change yours too. That is from William Watson, Second Lieutenant. You can Facebook search him under William Watson Flight. If you just type William Watson Flight on Facebook, you can check out his page. What an amazing letter. Since the letter, he has served as second lieutenant in the Air Force. He lives in Kansas. He trains pilots to fly. He's got a wife, Amanda. They have 3 children. An amazing story. And so this week's Give More to Get More segment, I'm going to introduce the chairman of the board of directors for Boys Hope, Girls Hope in Orange County, Mark Schechter. Mark joined Boys Hope, Girls Hope in 1997 as a member of their golf tournament planning committee. Within 5 years, they were able to assemble a committee game plan where the tournament grew to netting over $20,000. He was asked to join the board in 2002 and has been the board chair since 2014. He has a long distinguished career, including amongst what I think is really neat. He's a triathlete, which I don't know how he does that. I respect that tremendously. But also he's from USC, which, you know, as a Cal grad, only on this show will I say that's a great achievement, but he is a USC alum. I am very happy to have him on the show. Mark, how are you this morning?
I'm great, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And I'm really excited to talk about Boys Hope, Girls Hope. Can you share with the listeners, what is the mission of Boys Hope, Girls Hope?
First I have to joke. I enjoyed your opening segment, and you'd made a comment about would you let your uncle do a root canal. In truth, Daniel, my uncle is an endodontist.
Okay.
So I would let my uncle, in fact, now he teaches endodontry at SC, but I would let my uncle do a root canal.
Okay, well, in that case, all good, all good.
What are the chances of that coincidence? But you also asked about decisions 20 years ago, and I can assure you there were some that I'd make different. But one I wouldn't make differently is that I was asked to get involved with Boy Soap, Girl Soap. And our mission is we help academically willing and able and motivated kids reach their full potential and to become mentors for others, as Will is now, simply by providing family-like homes, opportunity, parenting, and education. That's actually what HOPE stands for. In fact, we don't refer to our children, we refer to them as scholars because we're so academically focused.
And can you share with everyone a little bit of the history of the organization and how it's grown over time?
Yeah, it's a great story, actually. A Jesuit priest by the name of Father Paul Sheridan in St. Louis. 40 years ago this year, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary, but in 1976, Father Sheridan started Boy Soap, Girl Soap, and now we've grown to 15 cities across the United States and now internationally in Mexico, Peru, and Guatemala. But in brief, what Father Sheridan recognized was that there were plenty of bright, capable students in his community, but based on their current living situation or conditions, it was detrimental to them receiving a good education. These are kids that would have been on track for a college education to become an asset to society, but if left to their existing means, if they even survived or weren't incarcerated, would be a detriment to society. And with his Jesuit background or his ties, he was able to secure scholarships at local college preparatory high schools in the St. Louis area, and then was even able to set up some boarding homes for the kids, and it evolved into what Boy Soap, Girl Soap is today, and later evolved to also include support for these kids once they got into college. And then Boy Soap, Girl Soap of Southern California, our local affiliate, we established that in 1993. Great story, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you've mentioned some of the areas that you provide support, education-focused finding. What specifically do you provide for these younger folks?
It's interesting. I asked my executive director, Tim Rogers, I said, hey, what would you like me to make sure I cover in the radio interview? And he said, we're, I think, a more giving society. I think that thanks to, in part, shows like this and the attention that you give to the more you give, the more you get. There are a number of charitable organizations that support just about anything you can think of, but one of the holes is there's actually the Conditions of Children report that's put out once a year by Cal State Fullerton, and they've identified approximately 30,000 homeless students, if you can imagine, 30,000 homeless students, and these are bright, academically willing and able kids that if left to their current conditions, they're not going to make it. I mean, Will, if you asked him, the story told about Will Watson, if he just assumed that, at a certain point in life, you either ended up dead or incarcerated like all the friends that he knew, and he looked up in the sky and he saw those jets flying, and he said, one of these days I want to fly one of those jets. And that drive and determination combined with the program that we provided, a healthy environment for him to live in and a focus on education, helped him achieve that dream. But it could be a young woman, could be, let's say, junior high school age, and she comes home, and instead of working on the violin or the piano or working on STEM and practicing her math, she has to take care of her multiple siblings while mom goes and works the third job of the day. So she's doing what she's asked to do, but she's not going to get a chance to blossom like she should. And it can be a scenario like that. It can be parents are on restraining order, parents is deceased. It can be something simple as there's, 2 or 3 families living in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and they're just not going to flourish. And these kids are usually referred to us by churches or schools or aunts or uncles, and they say, listen, this young man or this young lady has so much potential, but they're not going to make it. And after a vetting process, we have 2 homes we own free and clear in Southern California, one for our boys and one for our girls. Yes, we do separate them by gender. And these kids are in our full-time care. We're very fortunate. Pat Murphy and the Kerwin Family Foundation has our boys at Mater Dei, and Jen Allman at Rosary Academy supports our girls, and these kids get a solid education, a focus on education. They get meals. They get parent-like support at our houses, and we support them up and through high school and into college.
That is just such a depth of support, and it's amazing to hear you summarize it in that way. I know I've heard of the organization and talked to you about it, but it sounds so much better now that you're sharing it live on the radio. Do you have events and fundraisers coming up? How do our listeners get involved with you?
I would start by our website is www.bhghsocal.org. So it's Boy Soap, Girl Soap of Southern California. So www.bhghsocal.org. And there's a Get Involved tab right at the top, or even a Contact tab. But I always say we need volunteers, either at the houses or at our events or at the office. I'm not bashful, we need check writers. There's folks that might be moved by our message and want to support us financially, and we certainly welcome those donations. As well as I sit with a wonderful group of folks on our board of directors. These are some amazing men and women in our community that we all pull together, and we might be trying to solve a financial issue. We might be trying to plan for one of our special events. Or we might be working together to network. But I would say either volunteerism, check writing, or maybe join our board of directors, or just get involved. Come visit one of the houses, have dinner with the kids, and see what we're all about. We do have 3 events coming up. Or actually, I'll mention 4 things, Daniel, if I could. One, first and foremost, if you get to our website or speak to me or anyone within Boy Soap, Girl Soap of Southern California, we have a year-end appeal, right? So we're trying to close out the calendar 2016, and there's a year-end appeal underway. We're very event-centric. We have our casino night coming up on February 24th at Crevier Classic Cars. That's a great night, low entry point. I think tickets start at $100. So you can attend the event and have a cocktail and enjoy company with your friends and family and a mock casino environment and win prizes and help us raise funds. In the first week of May, we have a fantastic golf tournament that's evolved over time. You touched on it lightly, but forgive me, we evolved to where we were netting not $20,000, but $200,000, and now we're approaching netting $300,000 for a one-day golf tournament. But it's not the dollar amount. It's at Pelican Hill. It's a first-class event. If you like golf and you like doing things for your community, you've got to come out and join us for our golf tournament in May. And then last but not least, some of our leaders and founding fathers and some of the men and women involved with Boy Soap, Girl Soap are patrons of the arts. And in the fall, we have the Evening of Hope at the Segerson Center. We always pick a very nice ticket. Like this year we did Beautiful, the Carole King musical. So we'll do a little cocktail, appetizer, brief description of the program, and then go over to the center for a wonderful show. So those are the 4 ways during the year we raise the majority of our budget.
Fantastic. Remember, folks, it's the holidays, and there are 30,000 homeless students that could definitely use your help. And I want to thank Mark for joining us on the show this morning. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend. Mark, we'll talk soon.
Hey, Daniel, I appreciate it. And for those of you who don't know Daniel, he is exactly who he says he is. He's a generous man. And a brief conversation about what we were doing at Boy Soap, Girl Soap, and he said, I'm going to get you some exposure with what we're doing on the radio. So I appreciate that, Daniel, and I encourage your listeners to go to bhghsocal.org and contact or get involved. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you. Absolutely, folks. Get involved. And as we wrap up the show, I encourage everyone out there, call me, talk to me, ask questions. Phone numbers 8507-WAKE-UP. I'm here to help you achieve those financial goals, to help you achieve what you want to do, to awaken the abundance in you. And I know you're going to the website, financialwakeupshow.com. I see the metrics. I know you're listening to this show. I implore you to take action, because if I'm opening your eyes to some things that you might be curious about, why not go the extra step and make sure that you're doing everything the best that you can to make the most of today, to enjoy what this life is offering us. So don't hesitate. Everything we discuss is complimentary. It's confidential. I'm really here to educate. I would love to work with you. I would love to continue to talk to you. Support our show. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I really do hope that you find this program helpful. Until I see you next weekend, or talk to you, I should say, I wish you health, wealth, and prosperity. You've been listening to the Financial Wake Up Show on Kcaa 1050 AM.
Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments contain risk and may lose value. Daniel Choi, Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor and Certified Exit Planner, is a registered representative financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC. Securities products and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA, SIPC, financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, PAS, is an indirect, wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Westpac Wealth Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. California Insurance License Number OD40390. This radio broadcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PAS, Guardian, or Westpac. Opinions stated are their own and not necessarily those of PAS, Guardian, or Westpac. 2016-30361 expires 10/18.
Tell weeds where to go with Kcaa herbicide from Valent USA Corporation. Growers and PCAs count on Kcaa because it's effective on more than 90 of the toughest winter annual broadleaf and grass weeds in crops like almonds, pistachios, walnuts, grapes, and alfalfa. Kcaa delivers proven long-lasting residual control, and Kcaa can be used on new plantings and young non-bearing trees and vines. Even better, Kcaa is weather-ready and farm-ready. Kcaa stays where you put it and doesn't photodegrade as it waits for moisture activation. Other pre-emergence herbicides can leach, co-distillate, and or photodegrade, reducing performance. And Kcaa is activated with only a 1/4 inch of rainfall or irrigation water. Take control and keep control of weeds with Kcaa herbicide. To learn more, talk to your PCA or go to valent.com/Kcaa. And while you're there, find out how Asana XL insecticide protects trees from dormant peach twig borer. Always read and follow label instructions.
Since 1978, BJ's Restaurants has been a place where you can make the most of any meal. Right here in San Bernardino's BJ's, it's become a place to go for lunchtime crowds. And right now, people all over town are planning their company Christmas parties at BJ's. KCAA has planned their own party there, but you're not invited. So bring your own gang and celebrate at BJ's. BJ's in San Bernardino is on Harriman Place, just west of Waterman. BJ's wants to be a place where the moment you leave is the moment you plan on coming back.
As the owner of my business, I wear a lot of hats. I'm accounting, sales, and so much more. But I don't know marketing.
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. Our team can create a digital plan for you with everything from search to social. Contact Dex Media, that's DEX Media, to get found, get chosen, and get talked about.
Whoa, that's a job for cleanup, which would be me.
Call 844-230-3436 or visit dexmedia.com today.